Yeah, what are you talking about? We don't know anything about the Essenes. Nothing. This is all theory. Like, I don't know what you want to discuss. This show is about Judaism as it appears in the Torah and what the Torah sanctions. In terms of, endorsing a different type of Judaism that you become it by marrying into it and bringing up the Essenes, I don't, that's nothing.
We're going to say 2.5% then.
Yeah, that's not something that we can package and hand it over to someone who's seriously.
No, you talk to high rabbis. And what? I think the forgiveness of an SS group, which was part of Hillel and Jesus and all that, should be put in.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, to be continued, because we have to move forward, and I think that this conversation has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So anyways, let's move forward. The topic's the same. It has to have something to do with Judaism. It just can't. I am not for people inventing their own religion, especially when, heck, the religion that has civilized this planet, i.e. Judaism, the religion that gave birth to Christianity and Islam, is so available. Yeah. This notion of people picking what they want to believe. We have the Torah, keep the Torah, and what the Torah sanctions. I'm of the opinion that the Torah sanctions Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral law, the rulings of the Sanhedrin. So this is why I identify as an Orthodox Jew. Someone wrote, I keep his commandments, I love my God, I love my neighbor and myself, keep Shabbat, and Yeshua converted me. I don't know what that means, Yeshua converted you. Conversion existed even in the time of Jesus. And in terms of him converting you, that's, again, you guys inventing your own religion, even from a Christian perspective. So, all right, guys. Like the show, share with haters. Haters get on first. Do you think Anan ben David was the founder of Karaism or more? I don't know much about the guy. I know the Rambam quotes him. The Karaites were known for being very meticulous when copying Torah scrolls and having the one that was worthy to emulate. The Rambam endorsed Anan ben David's Sefer Torah, which I guess nowadays would be considered the Aleppo Codex. Hold on 1 second. All right. In the Torah, Proverbs what? Okay, so Proverbs is not in the Torah. That would be in the writings. And I think anyone who's read 30 verse 4 clearly without Christian lenses would realize that it's not talking about Jesus. It's asking questions like who can do this and who could do that. It's some sort of a rhetorical question. The answer is nobody but God. What's his name? What's his son's name? Right? It has something to do with God having a son. I think that's the verse that people stumble across so easily when they've been brainwashed. Because I think any reasonable person who reads it straight through would not come to the conclusion that God has a son. Right? I'm not even arguing the case, can he have a son or not? I'm just saying, according to that verse alone, it's not what it says. Let's see, let's make this conversation interesting. Why descend from heaven and comes back? Do you have enough followers? Yayada, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. No, you do not. Well, I'll add you as a friend. You know what? Let's go ahead and read it. For everybody listening, Proverbs chapter 30. What is it actually saying? And hopefully this puts the issue to bed. I'm reading the JPS version here. Okay, so it starts off, the words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, the burden. The man saith unto Uthiel, and Ukel, right? Surely I am brutish, unlike a man, and have not the understanding of a man. Right? This is poetic, hyperbolic, symbolic at its core. It says, I have not learned wisdom, that I should have the knowledge of the Holy One. Oh my God, it starts off embellishing the Holy One. Right? Remember, Holy One, it's embellishing God. Who hath ascended up to heaven and descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in his garments? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What's his name and what's his son's name, if you know? Now, if someone knows nothing about the New Testament, they would realize that the answer to the question is that the answer is nobody. Nobody on earth. The answer is God himself. Who else but God? That's what it's saying. Oh, you know someone else who could do this? Tell me what his name is. And tell me what his son's name is, i.e., what human do you know? It's an embellishment of God. Isn't that so clear? It's clear. Anyways, all written for our understanding. Yeah. Okay. That sounds a bit fanatical. Anyways, guys, like the show, share it. Oh, what's a hot topic? Yom Ha'atzmaut. My best friend, Mr. Littman, let me on his live. I think I was the only one there for like 5 seconds to ask me how I felt about the Nachba. First of all, I didn't know it was the official Nachba Day or whatever. And that's it, you know, and then he dropped me. I guess he thought I was going to be anti the state of Israel, which I'm not. But anyways, yeah, so today's the day, right? The invented holiday. Why are you evangelizing Judaism? Easy. Thank you for asking. Oh, hi, Karina. Go ahead and ask your question. If you have a question. The reason I'm evangelizing Judaism is because, like many areas in my life, in this area, I say what's good for me is good for others. That's it. If I watch a good movie, I'll let you know. If I just saw the movie Planet of the Apes, pretty good. Pretty good. It's not as good as Boy Beats a... What's it? Boy Kills World? Is that what it is? Awesome movie. What's the movie that I recommend? Monkey Man, right? Good movie. What's the vampire movie that just came out? Like the Young Abigail. Also good movie. There you go. That's another example of what's good for me is good for others in my mind. So being that the way we defeat bad ideas is essentially with good ideas, call that proselytizing. I mean, call that trying to make the world a better place. That is not prohibited in halakha, and it's not prohibited in the Torah or anywhere in the Jewish Bible, which means it's not prohibited. And this is why I do it. Let's see. Proselytizing is the correct term. Is it? It could be. I don't think it's a bad word. For some reason, people compare what I do to what Christians do, or what Muslims or some of the Dawa guys do. And that's in some way tell people that if you don't believe in this, you're going to hell, which is not the case. I'm just letting people know the obvious, that if they would want to convert, it is possible. It is possible.
Evening.
Greetings, Mateo.
How you been?
Good. Chilling.
How you been?
I'm okay. How's it going?
You're good? Yeah. Not bad. Just got done with Moses live. We did Daf Yomi, so it's kind of boring. I just hated how you're pronouncing words. There was something like if a letter, if a word ends in a lamed, the next word's a lamed, you can't pronounce them together or something. I don't know. It's weird. What are you up to?
Nothing much. I don't think I've done a live where I just read from the book. I think Daf Yomi is probably the most boring thing in the world. I've already made a few attempts to go through the 7-year cycle. And, I don't...
It can be interesting. He does Daf Yomi sometimes, and then Menachem does, he's been reading Gates, I think, Duties of the Heart. Yeah. And it can be interesting if you're engaging. But if you're just sitting there and reading...
I'm surprised Menachem's reading that. I would say that's a bit anti-Chabad.
Really? I've never read it.
Yeah. Well, Duties of the Heart, Chavot HaLevavot, is a very fundamentally rational Jewish work, like aligned with Maimonides or Sargon, and it goes against a lot of Kabbalistic principles. Like maybe it's not Duties of the Heart. Like if it's Gates, maybe it's Gates of Repentance, Shari Tshuva. Maybe it may be Duties of the Heart. Yeah. But there is one book I'm translating now that I'm going to start doing, not lives, but I'm going to be putting it up. But I don't think it's going to interest a lot of people. It's Or Yitzhak. So Or Yitzhak is it's a 2-part book written by Rabbi Yitzhak Abadi. He's what's called a Mako. I don't know if that's the proper term. A Mako is someone who's lenient on things, or at least seemingly lenient on things.
Seemingly?
Yeah, no, meaning that in Judaism, it's just as bad to prohibit something that's allowed than to allow something that's prohibited. And this is something that Judaism, modern day Judaism, fails to recognize. If someone is telling you that you're not allowed to do something when you are allowed to do it, which is probably 70% Orthodox Judaism, they do that constantly, they have a tendency of adding, that's as bad as them allowing you to do something that's prohibited, right? You know, there's a statement in the Talmud that says that one of the first things God's going to ask you when you get into heaven is to give an account of every permissible pleasure that you denied yourself. Permissible, right? I'm not talking about, you know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking. And that's the bulk of Judaism. There's many people who love to prohibit things. I mean, it's almost like politics. People, whenever they institute a new tax, that tax is never removed, right? But they just keep on adding taxes. I think Trump had the good idea that before instituting, let's say, one regulation, you had to do away with two previous regulations. We just can't keep adding and adding and adding prohibitions. So in Judaism, we're not allowed to add either. Like, for example, now we're in the middle. Sorry, I got a phone call. Now we are in the middle of the counting of the Omer. Now, the average Jew feels that it's some sort of obligation to be in a state of avelut, of mourning for this time. It depends what community you belong to. Some people stop mourning. My gosh, my phone. I need like a dedicated phone for TikTok because my phone just keeps on ringing. Some people stop the mourning either the day before Lag BaOmer, which is the 33rd day of the Omer, and I think Sephardim traditionally go all the way up to Shavuos, like the day before Shavuos. But gosh, this phone keeps on ringing. I'm telling you, and it's probably like a freaking prank call or something.
Did your phone have a no disturb setting?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I have an iPhone. I could like turn the ringer off, but it still interrupts. But yes, anyways, there's no halakha to mourn during this time. Now, life is painful enough, right? For us to institute more days of mourning. It seems like God wants you to be happy. Why would God want you to be pissed off? Especially when the vast majority of people, and there we go, vast majority, I know you like that term, the vast majority of people in Judaism don't even know why they're mourning. I remember in yeshiva, like I used to cut people's hair. I was like the barracks barber or whatever, just for fun. And they told me, be sure not to cut anyone's hair during the Sphira. And I'm like, there's like it's not a law. What's bad is when they start putting aside Torah commandments like getting married because of either the 3 weeks or the counting of the Omer. So now you're putting aside a mitzvah because of something that was traditionally understood as a minhag, but it's not even a minhag because no one even knows why they're doing it. The idea is that the reason we mourn is because of the death of Rabbi Akiva's students, which, if you look a little deeper, it wasn't that God unalived them because they weren't, they were mavat with their kavod, they weren't nice to each other. It was because Rabbi Akiva was the one who declared Bar Kokhba the king / Messiah. And like good students, they fought against the Romans, and it was the Romans who unalived them. But the average person doesn't even put that together, right? The idea that God would unalive the 25,000 students just because they didn't show each other honor sounds stupid and silly, and for sure not a good reason for someone not to get a haircut, not to shave, not to listen to music. But that's a debate also, because some people say that you can listen to a cappella, or the prohibition, some say, is only with live music. So if I would hold to it, which I don't, that would be the one I hold to. But yes, a cappella music. What's that radio station? New York Jewish Radio, Kol Brahma. It's a cappella music all day long. It's similar to Islam. Islam, the more religious streams of Islam don't allow instruments. Surprisingly, most people don't know. Guys, trust but verify everything I say. listening to music is actually prohibited in Judaism.
Yeah, I learned that one the other day.
Yeah, most people don't know this. Like, people think that we keep Judaism nowadays the way Moses kept Judaism. And that's part of the dumbification. Because of the destruction of the Second Temple, the rabbis prohibited listening to music. Now, there's a debate whether if it's for a mitzvah, if it's allowed. Like during a meal, like a Sudat mitzvah, like
Rabbinic prohibition.
What?
Rabbinic prohibition.
Yeah, no, for sure it's a rabbinic prohibition, but from people don't make a distinction. The last famous rabbi who pushed this idea, and for some reason this is like one of the halachas that he's not known for, just because people. I mean, heck, I like music. I mean, no one's going to tell me not to listen to music, even though it may be a halacha. If it's a halacha, there are some halachas we break, right? Even though we break them, we don't deny that they're halachas. That's the thing. The liar is the person who says that they keep everything perfectly. The person telling you the truth is a person who doesn't deny that not just halachot, but mitzvot exist, but perhaps you may not be too, I don't know, you don't have the strength to keep that mitzvah, whatever it happens to be. And I'll tell you, the vast majority, here I go again, vast majority, if you want, I'll find an alternative to the term. Most Jews who leave Judaism or Orthodox Judaism because it's too hard, and I have a 100% success rate when questioning these people, getting this answer, they typically leave for something that had nothing to do with Jewish law to begin with, right? They're like, I feel it's stupid that I have to put my right shoe on before my left or enter every room with my right foot, and like the women are upset that they have to sleep with a knife under their pillow and blah, 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 blah. You know, so they leave Judaism for Kabbalistic rituals that they were told was part of Judaism but was not. Now, can you imagine how many people have left Judaism because they're sick of mourning? They're like, nah, I gotta mourn again. I mean, whatever. I'm the Lubavitch and I don't eat gebrug, so, you know, Pesach was like Yom Kippur. So now I have to mourn for another 3 weeks. That means no haircuts, no music, right? You have to look all frumpy. When it's not a halacha. It's not a law. It's not a law. Okay, then come to 3 weeks. Now get it. The 9 days, or at least the week of the 9 days, you're supposed to mourn. But the 3 weeks, now we have to mourn again because who? Because what? Why doesn't this piss people off enough to call rabbis out and say, you know what? You either stand up here in the bima and tell the congregation this is not an actual law, or I'm not going to come to your show anymore. Why? Because there's too many people leaving Judaism because of what happens to be what's called a minhag shtus, like a stupid custom that the rabbis fail to acknowledge is just a custom. And I would say that's probably 70% of Judaism. 70% of Orthodox Judaism practices, uncomfortable laws that are not laws. And no one has the testicular fortitude to stand up and say, this is not a halacha. And if they do, they're called a Christian. Okay? People call me a Christian all the time. I don't know why. I don't know what's Christian about that. But I guess the idea of just questioning the status quo is not something that the average Orthodox Jew does. I get it. I don't sound like the average Orthodox Jew. I don't want to sound like the average Orthodox Jew. If I found out I had Jewish blood, okay, I would lie and still tell people I converted. Because I want to let people know that if I could enter the Jewish people, you could enter the Jewish people. Blood means nothing, okay? I don't want to sound Jewish. I don't want to look Jewish. I want to be decent in the name of Judaism. I want to help people change their tires, like in the middle of the street and tell them, you know what, I'm Jewish. Just let them know that a Republican Jew did this for you. What's that story of Donald Trump? That this guy, there's a lot of stories in the religious world about Donald Trump. I'm not going to make it so much about politics, but there was a story that there was a limousine on the side of the road in New York, and then a frum guy, gets out to help this limo that happened to have a flat tire, right? Change the tire, and he's there, and he's doing a mitzvah, whatever. So then when he's done, the chauffeur asks the Jewish guy who helped this limousine driver change the tire for his name and his address. Now, this is a famous story. So the guy goes home and like a month later finds out that his mortgage was paid. Why? Because that limousine that he helped out belonged to Donald Trump. He was in the car. I don't know if this is true about you and I. They don't tell such stories, but there you go. You know, the reward of a mitzvah, I guess, is another mitzvah. You know, schar's mitzvah. Yeah. So if we actually kept the laws in the book, the book, I guess, the Mishna has six orders to it. You know, so it's not just one book. But if we only kept the laws that appear in the Mishna, we'd probably be doing around, I don't know, 60 to 70% less than what we actually do now in Judaism. And that includes cutting davening around half of what we actually do. The problem is there aren't too many people, and there are commentaries to the Mishnah, by the way. You have Kahati, you have the Bartanur, you have many commentaries to the Mishnah, but they don't stand as commentaries alone, right? There has to be like a Kitzer Mishnah. I mean, something almost like a red letter edition Mishnah, so you know what's a halacha and what's not a halacha, right? Because the Rambam's codification. Yeah. Yeah, Mateo, what'd you say?
That was a terrible analogy, man.
Oh, red letter?
Yes.
I like to trigger people a little. I mean, just because it keeps it.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you mean. Yeah. Someone's gonna definitely not like that.
Well, that being said, we should have a red letter Tanakh, so we know when God's speaking or not. No.
I don't disagree. I wouldn't use red, but I don't disagree.
All right, the blue letter Tanakh. Fine. I was talking to a Muslim the other day, and I asked him, you know how we have Sefer HaMitzvot, like the Book of Commandments? We have an enumeration of 613 commandments. It makes it easier to know what's allowed and what's not allowed. Right? It basically takes all the commandments from the Torah and puts them in a book. I asked a Muslim, does this exist in Islam? Right? I mean, they have a lot of laws too. And the guy told me no. Like, if there's a Muslim out there who wants to correct him, please let me know. But if I was a Muslim, or if there's a Muslim out there listening, if you want to be badass, that would be the coolest thing. A book of commandments for Islam. No? Like, just how we know that there's was it 248 or 365? Was it 248 positive, 365 negative, whatever? Why isn't Islam broken down like that? Why do you have to read the whole Quran to know what are the do's and don'ts? That being said, Christianity should have something to it. Yeah.
I think, to be fair, the Quran's a lot smaller than Torah and all that.
Yeah, no, but they have as many laws, right?
They really as many?
Well, with the Hadiths, they do, at least according to the Torah.
Oh, well, the Hadiths or something else. Yeah, if somebody wants to compile all the laws from that. But I don't think that would be really appreciated, because there's so much debate on which Hadiths are authentic and which aren't. Have you ever gotten to that argument? Trying to verify Hadith?
I call Islam the autocorrecting religion. Because if something doesn't make sense in the Quran, I mean, just authorize a later story to speak from an authoritative manner on that issue, right? So it autocorrects itself. It's quite amazing. Well, if the Torah says something that doesn't make sense, we're stuck with it. Now, there are commentaries to the Torah, but the average person doesn't walk around elevating Rashi to the Torah. They'll say, okay, this is Rashi's opinion, whatever. It may be true, may be wrong. There isn't, unlike Islam, there aren't accepted commentaries to the Torah. I've heard some about Shuvas say this before, that Rashi's interpretation of a specific pasuk is carries more weight than the Ibn Ezra or the Ramban's commentary on it. But that's like art score Judaism right there, just because it got printed in the art score or something, which is not true. But yes, Islam is the autocorrecting religion. Some people try to make Judaism to that, by the way. Like, if there's something that doesn't make sense in the Torah, they're like, wait, I'll find you a Rashi on that. I'll find you, something Rambam may say on the pasuk. The Rambam actually wrote a commentary to the Torah, and it was lost, supposedly, also to the Talmud, and it was lost. But yeah, anyways, next topic. Why does your Talmud say such nasty things about Jesus and Christians? So I'm not convinced that the Jesus in the Talmud is the same Jesus. He exists around 250 years before. They claim that he's a student of Yeshua ben Prachia, which existed, around 200 years before the Jesus of Nazareth character was born. And he doesn't do the same things. The Jesus in the Talmud seems not to be the sweetest guy in the world. He delves into dark magic. He gets his teachers mad at him. Just doesn't appear like the sweetheart of a guy that appears in the New Testament. Yeah, so I don't endorse that. If it's talking about Jesus, we can say that we disagree with things in the Talmud. That's not an issue. Come on, they do, says Rashi, it's authoritative.
So any idea how common Yeshua was as a name back then? Because I hear that a lot.
How what? Say it again?
Common Yeshua was as a name.
Well, Yehoshua is common. In Tanakh, well, there was a high priest called Yeshua, which is the Aramaic form of Yehoshua. So I would assume it's common. I mean, there's rabbis in the Talmud with the name. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, why not? Okay, I'm not skipping anyone's questions. Chama. All right. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. I will like the following question answered. Do you believe that Hashem is just and fair? Do I believe?
I got a question, bro.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
So I heard about Judaism, bro. You can't convert to Judaism, bro. You gotta be born a Jew, right?
No. Are you Muslim?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah. So this is why you come to this conclusion, and it's not your fault, by the way, because there's many Jews who just don't let people know. The Jews.
So why don't they let people know though?
I'm also technically Muslim as well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna speak. I mean, for them, I don't like when they don't mention it. But let's just put it like that. It's true. If your mother's Jewish, you're Jewish. However, if you convert to Judaism, you're Jewish, right? Ivanka Trump is Jewish. Sammy Davis Jr. was Jewish. Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor. What's her name? Tina Tequila. What's the girl from MTV? Is it Tila Tequila or Tina Tequila? Anyways, Jenna Jameson converted to Judaism. Most people don't know that. Who else? Madonna, I don't think officially converted, but she did take a Hebrew name, Esther. Yeah, no, you can convert to Judaism, bro. It's a thing. I mean,
so technically, bro, you're saying like you can convert to Judaism, but like that makes no sense because a lot of Jews don't want people to convert to Jews, bro. Like Judaism, bro.
Yeah.
There's some Jews that be like, you gotta be born a Jew, bro.
No, I get it.
That's like Christians, you can convert to Christianity, bro. Islam, you can convert to be a Muslim. But Judaism, bro, you gotta be born a Jew, bro.
Yeah,
so,
all you gotta do is say the Macarena once, and then you become a Muslim. It's easy, bro. Easy peasy.
Baila tu cuerpo, Maria Macarena. I don't even know the words. Hey, Macarena. Anyways,
what are you mumbling for, bro?
What's beautiful about it is that God doesn't care what Jews think. God doesn't care what Jews happen to think, because the Torah speaks for itself. On Mount Sinai, there stood a mixed multitude of peoples, and they were all included amongst the children of Israel a few verses later. So let the word of God be true and every man be a liar.
Allahu Terry, bro.
Ooh. You're all froggy and spicy today, bro.
What do you even say, bro?
What?
Anyway, so what do you have to do to become a Jew?
You have to do three things. Only two things are applicable if you're a male nowadays, which is circumcision and immersion. When there's another temple built, you'll bring a sacrifice, korban milah tevila. If you're a woman, you just need to immerse yourself.
And then how do you guys as Jews believe you go to heaven and hell?
Well, heaven is not such a big thing in the Torah. We do believe in reward and punishment. In terms of how that's meted out, I guess that could be debated. By keeping God's commandments, God validates us. He puts us in a book, whatever that happens to mean. That is probably the most noble way to serve God, because it's the right thing to do. The idea that someone's going to serve God just because they don't want to go to hell sounds like almost coercion. I'm kind of glad that hell and heaven doesn't appear in the Jewish Bible. Now, I believe crappy people are going to pay for their misbehavior on this earth, and innocent people who suffer unjustly are going to get rewarded. But I believe this in faith. I believe if God is good and God is just, he's got your back. Unlike Islam and Christianity, that is built off of heaven and hell. Full coercion. The average Christian who meets you on the street, what he tells you is that if you die today, do you know where you are going to spend eternity? If that was such an important question, why doesn't it appear in the Torah? Right? It seems like God wants you to do the right thing. And I'm speaking to Muslims, Jews, and Christians, right? Because it's the right thing to do, not because you're scared of going to hell or you're excited about getting to heaven. Asmodeus.
What's going on, boss man?
You have so much energy. Your lives just go on and on and on. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they do sometimes.
So you're the heart.
Sometimes,
So you're like the James Brown of the TikTok world, like the hardest working man in TikTok.
Most high willing. You know, we try to do God's work the best way we know how.
All right, that's what's up.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I was talking to, I don't know if you know him, Mark Dash. Now, he said that y'all have two messiahs, the son of Joseph, and then like the one that comes in his glory. Is that true?
So that's one opinion in the Talmud.
Okay.
In the Talmud, it talks about that segment that mentions Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. There's another segment that talks about Mashiach ben Aaron and Mashiach ben Ephraim. And Maimonides is of a different opinion. He believes that the two messiahs is first King David as the first, and the Messiah that's to come is going to be the second. There is no monolithic idea on this. No monolithic idea.
Okay. All right. I was just asking. I just didn't know. I know you're pretty knowledgeable, so.
No, Messianics use it a lot because it justifies Jesus. Just like Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and given over to the Gentiles, that sounds very similar to what happened to Jesus. And now he's returning like the reigning Messiah, i.e. the Messiah ben David. I don't believe in that, but that's a valid interpretation. Let's just put it like that.
Which interpretation do you believe?
Oh, I don't. Well, so that statement falls under the rubric of Agadah, which is folklore and legend. So in Judaism, we have a lot of fairy tales floating around that you could believe if you want to. They're not in. It's not in the Bible, but it's in the Talmud. I think that we've over-embellished the idea of a Jewish king. The notion of a Messiah it comes from someone that's Mashach, like anointed with oil. Nowhere in the Torah does it say that we anoint kings. Nowhere. The Torah says that we only anoint the high priest. Now, in the writings in the prophets, then it mentions that even prophets are anointed, kings are anointed. But this was developed by the judges because we're not allowed to create new laws. So because of something that was developed by the judges, we're supposed to build a whole religion around it. So Maimonides believes that the command to believe in a Messiah is tied to the statement that when we want a king, that we should pick the king that God elects for us, which is Deuteronomy chapter 18. No, I'm sorry, the end of 17. Oh, that one of those. So it's a shame that if you ask the average Jewish person, what's the purpose of it all? He'll say the purpose of it all is to coronate some Messiah, right? I mean, Jews and Christians are similar in this area. But the purpose in the Torah is completely different. The purpose in Torah is a good God giving over his will to humanity, i.e. the commandments, so we can make this world a better place. It has nothing to do with the Messiah that's going to bail us out. Because that's the way it's taught, both in Christianity and in Judaism, that the Messiah is coming no matter what you do, whether you deserve it or not. The Jews believe that if you don't deserve it, the Messiah is coming in judgment in the clouds to judge you. And if you do deserve it, he's coming on a donkey, peaceful. So it's silly. God gave us commandments to better this world, and we're expecting some celestial bailout, right? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. So the idea of the Messiah doesn't appear in the Torah. It doesn't literally appear in the other books. There may be foreshadowings here and there, but if it was such an important topic, why didn't God tell us straight out that you have to believe in a Messiah? Like, why isn't it a commandment? So that's pretty good.
It is.
And what commandment is that?
It says, I'll raise up. I know you know it.
Yeah.
When I raise up a prophet,
You let these people on and know your chat. They're not here for a conversation.
No, Hasmonius is a serious dude.
No, I'm not here to argue.
Hasmonius is that other people come along with him.
Oh, no.
The optics shit.
Oh, you mean his entourage? He's like P. Diddy? I mean, he's rolling with Kevin Hart and Meek Mill. Mike Mill. You go ahead, Hasmonius. Go ahead.
Yeah, I argue on my live, man. I don't come to other people's live to argue. That's that's disrespectful in my opinion. I'm not gonna come to his live.
All I know about you is your entourage, man. They got some weird people.
You know, hey.
Meek Mill. Is it Meek Mill?
But,
yeah, go ahead.
I forgot what I was saying.
All right, so Deuteronomy chapter 18.
So there we go. The one that says, "I'll raise up from among you a prophets like your brethren." Right? He'll be like unto you in every way, and if you don't obey him, I'll require it of you.
Absolutely. Okay, so it's interesting that we could read the same chapter and come to a completely different conclusion. Can you think of any other chapter in the whole Torah that commands you to listen to prophets?
No.
Only Deuteronomy chapter 18, because it says, and the prophet that does not speak what I command him, right? It went from the singular, I will raise up for you a prophet, and now, and the prophet that doesn't, meaning this is the only chapter that is warning us that when God sends us prophets, we have to listen to them. The beginning of the chapter starts off that when you begin to emulate the nations of the world, God will raise up for you a prophet, right? Just like he raised up Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, right? In that instance, he'll raise up, you know, he'll give you prophetic intervention to try to get you on the right path. If you don't listen to the prophet, that's when you go into exile. The idea that this is only talking about one prophet, right, is contradicted later in the verse when it says, and the prophet that doesn't speak what I command him. You see, so the idea is essentially in plural, even though it says and the prophet, like the Navi, right? But the idea is in plural. So if you believe Jesus is a prophet, it could apply to him. If you believe Muhammad is a prophet, it could apply to him, right? But this is talking about prophets. It's not talking about just one guy.
All right, I can see your opinion there. Another question, I guess kind of controversial. So the Talmud. Now, is the Talmud actually law? Or what is the Talmud?
You know the answer to this question, though. You know the answer to this question.
No.
I've heard people explain Talmud to you multiple times.
Come on, man.
See, he's not here for a conversation.
You're killing the flow, bro. You're killing the flow.
The people who come on my panel, I'm not gonna lie, they come on there to argue Israel, Palestine. So I know their answers may be.
I respect Hasmonius, okay? I mean, I sit for hours and I listen, you know, like to his lives, and I don't do that, you know, for a lot of them. Okay, I'll tell you. The Talmud is two works. Okay. There's two Talmuds, but they essentially bring down, I mean, they're broken down in the same way. It's the Mishna and its commentary that we now call the Gemara. So the rabbis in the Mishna were the rabbis who had ordination going back to Moses, the people who sat in the Sanhedrin. That's what appears in the Mishna. The commentators in the Babylonian Talmud live in Babylon over 100 years to 200 years after the closing of the Mishnah. In the Jerusalem Talmud, the commentary are from rabbis who live in Israel, who are commenting on the Mishnah, but the Mishnah is the oral law. However, if you had to extract what's binding from the Talmud, it would probably be less than 20%.
Okay.
Why? Because everything else is commentary. And also, you have Midrash and Agadah, which is folklore and legend, all over the place. Like all these things that it says, like it calls Gentiles this or Gentiles that. That's under the level of Midrash. That means it's essentially disposable. You don't have to believe it. Many times rabbis say that we don't hold by this or that Midrash. And they just don't hold by it. There's some stupid statements in the Talmud. There's some beautiful statements in the Talmud. The Talmud is important to us because of law. Law is what you do, right? Not what you believe. But how do you keep Shabbat? How do you keep Yom Kippur? However, if a statement is only descriptive and not prescriptive, it's disposable. That means anything it says about Jesus, anything it says, and I don't believe it's the same Jesus, by the way. This guy lived around 200 years before. Anything it talks about Miriam or anything that it happens to say about Gentiles, unless it's tied to an actual law, it's disposable. So the reason Maimonides is so important to us in the Jewish world is that he extracted all the laws from the Talmud, and then he put them in a book called Mishna Torah. So you don't have to listen to all the nonsense about people bashing other people or things that are misunderstood. He extracted the actual law, the do's and don'ts. And he is the first codifier of Jewish law, which is, I mean, I asked earlier in the show, like, why doesn't Islam do this? Like, why doesn't Islam extract all the laws from the Quran and the Hadith so Muslims could actually know what to do without having to read all the Hadiths and like the whole Quran to get the do's and don'ts? And Christianity is based off of Judaism, so Judaism has it. So the laws, Christians know about the 613 commandments. So the Talmud is not a divinely inspired text. There's actually a book within the Talmud called Masechet Torayot that deals with the errors of the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin made mistakes. However, Deuteronomy chapter 17 in the Torah sanctioned their existence. In Numbers, God tells Moses to establish a court of 70 elders, right? 70 elders. But these are human beings who are going to make mistakes. It's a sophisticated idea that God believes in consensus, right? He believes in order, but he still wants us to acknowledge them as human beings. Now, there's some Jews nowadays, like Kabbalistic Jews, Hasidic Jews, who say stupid things like some rabbis can't sin and all that stuff. I don't belong to that group. Their God is not my God. I'm telling you the Talmudic opinion, the opinion of Maimonides. These are human beings and they make mistakes and they repent like we repent. However, God, for the sake of structure, because you can't run a nation by everyone walking around with the Bible under their arm, deciphering verses on their own, right? Because they would keep the Sabbath on a different day. You know, they'd keep Yom Kippur in a different way. There has to be consensus for us to progress in a uniform manner as a nation, right? The Ummah, the Jewish version of the Ummah, right? Which is a nation united essentially by belief and practice.
Okay. Okay, so as far as, I think I might ask you this before, but I'll just ask it again because I don't remember your answer.
Yeah.
As far as like the lineage goes through the mother, right?
Right.
You know, the Torah, we had a verse in the Torah that says the lineage goes to the father. I guess we have what you would.
I don't think there's a verse in the Torah that says that specifically. In terms of tribal lineage, yeah. Tribal lineage even today still goes by the father. It's a rabbinic command invented by the rabbis. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off by this, but this is how it is here. There's three opinions in the Talmud that people always fail to acknowledge. There's one opinion that it goes by the father in Talmud Yerushalmi. Rabbi Akiva said that it was the father and the mother. According to Rabbi Akiva, if your mother wasn't Jewish and your father wasn't, I don't like using the word Jewish because the Talmud rarely uses the word Jewish. I mean, Israelite. You're only a Jew if both of your parents are Jewish. It's Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai that we decided that we were going to follow that held that it was only by the mother. So it's fully rabbinic. I mean, people shouldn't get upset like we're rewriting the Torah. I've heard Mr. Litvin online specifically say that on Mount Sinai, with all the 613 commandments, God told us that the lineage goes to the mother. It doesn't say that in the Torah. It's not what you claim to believe in. It's what you can defend. You can't defend that. Okay? It's fully rabbinic. But it's fine. We still have to keep it because God commanded us to listen to the court. In Deuteronomy chapter 17, it says, in all areas of dispute, you shall go to the place God will choose, i.e. Jerusalem, the Lishkat HaGazit. And the words they give you will be Torah. Don't stray from the right to the left of what they instruct us. So this court told us that for the sake of unity and consensus, we're going to declare, those who have a Jewish mother Jewish, which is similar to Islam, by the way. Islam believes that if you're born of Islamic parents, you don't have to say your Shahada again. Why not? Right? Because they assume your parents taught you something. However, Judaism harbors a big disconnect within it today. And that's the idea of secular Jews who think that only because their mother is Jewish that they're special to God because of that, which is a racist idea, by the way. Okay, it's true. According to Jewish law, you're legally Jewish, but God doesn't view you special or, above anyone else that's as ethical as you are. That's where Kabbalah comes in, and that's where I step out because, I think that's bigotry. But yeah.
Okay, so 2 questions. You said one day, according to the Torah, it goes by tribal law. Isn't tribal law how Israelites will get their land in
wait, Asher. Let's stop this nonsense. This guy's just coming here for politics and
Palestine. This is not the first time I've spoken to the guy.
I know, but this guy is the most.
No.
This guy's an animal.
He's inviting me onto his show. Wait, guys. He's inviting me onto his show, and he's been very respectful. Okay, I mean.
Never respect.
Have you looked at the chat when you're on his show?
I don't care, but it doesn't matter.
He brings you up for everyone to laugh at you.
This is not the first time.
This guy's just talking nice.
All right. Just let me talk to him, okay? And then we'll see how it ends. Trust me. I don't see him bash too many people.
Look at your chat.
But who cares about the chat? This is so educational. You understand? This is how people learn.
If you're talking about optics, look at your chat.
I don't want Jewish people in my life, by the way. I don't want people who already know the Torah.
It's people saying that Judaism is a terrible thing.
Okay, but they're listening to.
They're
listening to a reasonable response.
They're not listening to you.
They're listening to a reasonable response.
That's right. They're not listening.
Okay, they're listening. Okay.
Asher, you're right, Asher. It's true.
Then what's the point of having any live? Okay, if you're only going to preach to people who agree with you.
You're right.
Okay.
Just hating on you, man.
I don't care bro. There's 68 people on the live here. I'm pretty sure at least a quarter of them are hopping what I'm saying. I mean, they're able to absorb what I'm saying because I'm not contradicting myself.
Yeah, no critical thought.
They're hearing a different rendition of the story. This is not Chabad. This is not Satmar. This is rational Judaism according to Maimonides, and rational is fine. Okay. Now, modern day Judaism acknowledges tribal lineage by the father. This is why. If you're in any synagogue and they call someone up to the Torah, the first person who comes up is the Cohen. That means there's people nowadays who trace your lineage all the way back to Aaron. The second one is the Levi. And then the third one is the standard Israelite. However, when you have a nation with certain laws, we have to ask the question, who are we able to adjudicate by these laws and who do we let slide? For example, how can we adjudicate Gentiles living on our lands when they never accepted the Torah? Like, why do they have to keep the Sabbath? Why do they have to keep kosher? And the Torah actually speaks about this. The idea of a ger toshev, like a Gentile living amongst you, that you're allowed to give them what's called nevela, like food that's not kosher, right? God is telling you, instead of throwing it away, give it to the Gentile who's docile amongst you, who's not trying to unalive you, because he's not your enemy. As a matter of fact, we have a command to protect such people. Like Noahides is a term that's like thrown around nowadays. But they came to the conclusion that if you happen to have a Jewish mother, because, I mean, it makes the most sense, we could typically know who someone's mother is and not who someone's father is, on who we adjudicate and those who we don't adjudicate. However, when conversion takes a day, according to Jewish law, conversion to Judaism takes a day, assuming the guy's already circumcised, because if you're not circumcised, you have to wait around 30 days or around 2 weeks for the circumcision to heal, so you don't have like a hasakah. Who cares if it's by the father or the mother if conversion takes a day? That means if your father wasn't Jewish or if there's a question, you go to the mikveh right now, and then they'll count you in a minyan for arvit. So people make a big deal out of it because conversion nowadays takes 3-4 years if it's even possible. So they'll think, how can Judaism be universal and not be ethnocentric if this is the way you claim your source material presents the idea? And it's not. And this is why we have the show. First, we tell the truth. We quote the source material, and then we make a distinction between how far Judaism has strayed from that source. And I welcome every rabbi to come up here and challenge me. And they don't, because they can't. At least not in this area.
Yeah, so I suppose our difference is kind of like it's kind of like Catholic versus Protestant, right? So Catholics believe that the tradition is very important. The tradition also gives law, take into account the Bible and the tradition. Right? When the Protestant says, well, we take account some traditions, but they believe in this, sola scriptura. It means like scripture alone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So scripture trumps everything. Scripture's the only thing that's infallible. So that seems like the difference. So rabbinic law, because of the verse that you quoted, Deuteronomy with the 70 elders, you believe that rabbinic law is binding.
Yes, absolutely.
Almost irregardless.
However, it's essentially a statement of faith. And I know Jews don't like using the word faith, but for us to believe that the rabbis that appear in the Mishna are those rabbis of that line, clearly that's a statement of faith. However, we understand that even if the oral law didn't exist, we would have to invent it in order for Israel to progress. There's no way that you could run a nation with everyone walking around with a constitution in their pocket interpreting it for themselves. There's no way. Okay, especially when God put a death penalty for, let's say, breaking the Sabbath, but never told you how to keep the Sabbath. Right? I mean, he didn't tell you not to do work. He told you not to do malacha. What's malacha? Well, it's been interpreted as creative labor. Right? So, also, nowhere in the Torah does it say that we establish months by looking at the moon. Nowhere. I mean, how can you run a country? How can you keep these laws in Leviticus 23 without knowing how to establish a month? Because he specifically says, and you will sanctify the month, the court. So if you don't have the Sanhedrin, and they went by different names, by the way, because they were only called the Sanhedrin in the time of Jesus. They were called the Zakadim, the elders, the Shoftim, the judges, the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, the men of the Great Assembly, and on and on. It's the same court that even in the time of Jesus, they understood had authority. This is why they took Jesus to the Sanhedrin. This is why it says in Matthew 23, they sit in Moses' seat, do as they tell you to do, but don't do as they do because they're a bunch of hypocrites. I mean, just like today. I mean, a lot of them are hypocrites. So I welcome you to consider becoming Jewish as one. I mean, like, you have the name already, so.
I got one more question. So in the time of the Maccabees, is it your belief, from my studies I see it, that at certain points the Sanhedrin was mixed between like two different parties, Pharisees and Sadducees.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. So it wasn't in the time of the Maccabees. It was after this. I mean, I think Sadok may have been. Was he after? No, but the Sadducees are built off of one priest. I mean, a family of high priests. That's where they get the word Sadducee from. I mean, you're from Sadok. But in the Talmud, it says that both the Sadducees and the Pharisees both sat on the Sanhedrin. That wasn't the great split. The great split was with the students of Hillel and the students of Shammai. It's because we were under occupation. So it was a bit of a freak show that was orchestrated by the Romans to split up the Jewish people, because we weren't allowed to put people to death, first of all, like under Roman law. This is why they had to hand over Jesus. And by the way, I condemn, if the narrative is true in the New Testament, I condemn the action of them unaliving Jesus, because he did not deserve that. Okay, so I mean, I just want to put that out there. I don't believe the narrative is true, and specifically, it says that some Jews did this. I don't think all Jews should be painted as Pharisees. Well, no one in the Talmud ever identified as a Pharisee. There's not one rabbi in the Talmud that ever identified as a Pharisee. So, I mean, this is just an FYI. Yes, but the Sadducees and the Pharisees both sat on the same Sanhedrin. The truth is, the Sadducees actually believed in the oral law, because the oral law comes from the Sanhedrin. It's a misconception when people interpret Josephus in the New Testament, like thinking that they only believed in the written Torah. It says that they didn't believe in the traditions of the fathers. The traditions of the fathers, in my opinion, is what we call midrash and agadah, folklore and legend that many times the rabbis used to establish law. They wanted to establish law straight from the Torah, like extracting from the prophets and the writings, from a more authoritative source than just folklore and legend. Because the source of the oral law is the Sanhedrin. That's the source of the oral law. So if you sat on the Sanhedrin, that means you're adjudicating law. How can you be against the oral law? And also, most of the priests were Sadducees, and the bulk of what the priests did in the temple is rabbinic. So the only people who say that the Sadducees were against the oral law are people who don't know how the oral law functions. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool, man. I appreciate it.
I know it was getting like this. I mean, I don't think these guys know you that well. I mean, I dialogued with you a few times. My goal is to make you a Jew. I see you and I see a Jewish guy fighting to get out. Okay, just mark my words. With these little seeds that we planted, okay, it's going to sprout up, and you'll be harmonious. Well, I mean, you're probably, are you an Israelite?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I'm an Israelite.
If you're an Israelite, I'll take your word for it. All right, bro.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take it easy. All right. So, guys, you can be muster now.
Okay, I'm back. What happened? Where'd everybody go, man?
No, you see.
Where'd they all go?
Guys, the reason people like coming onto my lives is because they know that I'm fair and I'm honest. And then when you're fair, honest, and you let people talk, right, that cuts down probably 80% of any chance of fighting.
Yeah, well, they don't care, man. They don't care.
No.
I get
if they don't care, like, I dropped them, okay? I mean, that's pretty much it.
They're never gonna understand that they're wrong, that there's no such thing as a deep devil. Or
Nah, they will understand. They will understand.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
Welcome, Goy. Welcome, the Goy.
The Goy.
Yeah, they call me the Guy Father.
Ooh, the Goy
right.
father. I got a guy.
I got a guy. That's what we say. I got a guy. All right.
Yeah.
Can you explain Mishna Nida 5:4?
Just give me the glimpse of it. I mean, give me like a synopsis.
A girl who is 3 years old on one day.
Yes. I mean, don't read it all because you might get, cut off.
Is betrothed through
Sure.
intercourse.
No, I get it. I'm going to explain it. Okay. In Jewish law, what constitutes virginity is having a hymen that's intact. So the hypothetical question is raised: can a convert girl, because the idea is that converts have the status, or at least girls who convert have the status of a defiled woman, thus they can't marry a priest. However, because they make the statement that it's like equivalent to poking someone in the eye, the understanding, it may not be correct
Wait,
medically. No, but
so
I'm explaining.
just so the chat gets it. So you agree that
Okay, so this is
the
so.
belief.
All right.
All right, Karen.
All right. I'm going to explain it because I don't think this guy truly wants to learn, but he probably thought that I didn't have a response for this. This is a very clear, open and closed Gemara. It's the understanding, and it may be wrong medically, is that the hymen closes, like it repairs itself if it was in some way damaged before the age of 3. So the debate is, could such a woman maintain the status of a virgin if such an occurrence would occur, right? Because even in the ketubah, it says if she's a virgin or not. And if she's not a virgin, the woman gets less for the ketubah. I mean, the ketubah in Judaism, it's like a prenup. So the argument, they concluded that it's equivalent to being poked in the eye. That means it repairs itself, and that woman still has a status of a virgin. Even if something like that would happen, nowhere in the Torah does it condone something like that. The Rambam specifically condemns anyone trying to consummate a marriage with the minor. Not to mention that it would be so counterproductive because if a girl, let's say, even at the age of 11 or 10, would try to have a child, you would probably lose the baby and lose the girl to begin with. So it's counterproductive. I don't like when people make these silly claims, and there aren't rabbis who are willing to argue it because they don't understand the halacha, right? But I also don't like when people accuse Muslims of it, because I think that most of these attacks that are made on the three of us, Christians, Jews, and Muslims, are formulated by atheists to make us look stupid. But there's a reason for most of these things, and they're typically not unethical. Yeah, right.
But why do you care about Muslims, man? Like, they just want to unalive you, bro.
Huh?
Why do you care about Muslims? Like, they just want to unalive you.
No, I don't think Muslims just want to unalive me.
Oh, yeah, the practicing ones, yeah, they want to unalive everybody.
I think some of them do. I mean, some of them do. But the reason, like by the simple fact that they want to harm me, that should give us more of a reason to care about them, to kind of bring them over to our side. This idea that the way you change people's ideas is by retiring into piety is the stupidest approach to anything. If there's a harmful ideology that is going to end up affecting your children and your family members after you're gone, it behooves you to combat their bad religion with your good religion. And the only way that's going to happen is via dialogue. This idea that if we're just left alone, things will work out for us. If you don't impact the world with your values, the world is going to impact you. And this is why I speak to Muslims who are respectful on this show, and I take my time with them, because I've seen them come around. I've seen Christians convert. I convert people every month to Judaism. I was the worst of the worst, by the way. And I converted to Judaism over 25 years ago. I mean, trust me. I mean, I'm a thug. If I could do it, anyone could do it.
I'm also a thug.
Well, that's what's up. So now we're thugs for Hashem.
I'm also a thug.
Yeah, because I'm a thug.
Yes, homies. What's up, homie? Oh, just kidding. What's up, bros? Okay. Who are these people?
Thug life.
Woo, thug life. You know about this thug life. I just saw a video of Tupac. He's like, I mean, he may have been like not as manly as people thought he was. They're interviewing him when he was like in high school, and he's like very boy.
Tupac Shaker?
Yeah, Shaker.
Tupac Shaker?
Shaker, yeah. No, I thought he was a thug. Also, I mean, I remember the movie Juice, right? In the movie Juice, he had not one tattoo, and like overnight he's thug life. I don't know about that. Anyways, welcome, Susanna. I mean, I hope you're a female.
He had juice in juice.
What?
He had some juice in juice. He was not a wimp in juice.
No, right, in the movie. I mean, you put anyone in the movie. I mean, you put Will Smith in the movie, like he'll be slapping you too. But anyways, welcome, Susanna. I mean, we got a female in the room. Let's...
Asher, if you don't mind me asking somebody before me was saying that Muslims want to unalive you, right?
Yeah, that was me. I said that.
Yeah.
Guys,
so,
let's not fight. Let's not fight.
I want to answer for that guy. He say Muslim people unalive you. Muslim people did not come into you. You come into them, and you occupy them.
Got it. Fine. Let's not make you see. Wait, hold on. Sheikh started this whole problem.
Muslim, they protect Jew people.
Okay.
They protect them as I am Moroccan. Let me just speak. My grandmother, she's Jewish. Okay, my grandmother, she's Jewish. Those people, they are so lying. We have zero problem with any religion. Period. If you have a problem because you're still in the lab, we have to divorce.
Okay. All right, I dropped him. All right, so let's have a dialogue.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We're not making enemy with anybody.
No, I get it. All right, so
Those people making enemy. We
I got it.
respect any human being, as Muslim, as Jewish.
Okay.
My husband is Christian Palestinian. You cannot say that.
Okay.
I know where I'm coming from.
So
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
yeah, but stay on
Those
the line.
people, they have no knowledge.
Okay,
they
hold
have
on.
brainwashed by the Calamists, by atheist people.
Okay.
We respect every Jewish. They're living with us 1,000 years. If we unalive them, they can be 1,000 years.
Okay.
A lot of Jewish people in Yemen, they false for Muslim people in Palestine.
All right.
Shame on you. Shame on you. You stealing your occupy people.
Okay.
Shame
All right.
on you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right,
I
bye.
have no time for the atheist people.
No problem.
Yeah, to be fair, it wasn't the host that said that. It was somebody on the audience. But
Yeah.
Asher, you dropped people for lists. You should have dropped him or checked him. Because,
No,
that's not
okay.
true. I want to actually ask him, where do you base your opinions on?
Okay, hold on. Okay, forget about him. I don't believe that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. I believe that some anti-Zionists are anti-Semites, but that doesn't mean that only because you're anti the state of Israel that you're anti-Jewishness, right? I think that as bad as Muslims view Israelis, they would be so happy to hear that every Israeli tomorrow converted to Islam.
But don't the Zionists view Muslims bad?
Yes, unfortunately. In this show, like first we strive to tell the truth and then we give our opinion. I've mentioned many times that what if every individual in Gaza, including the Christians, converted to Judaism? Wouldn't that be a great thing? And I've ceased to hear yes to that question. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing that you want me to become Muslim, but know that I want you to become Jewish, which is fine.
So can I ask you a question? I did come up here to address the comment, but you already dropped the guy. But I am genuinely curious. I've always heard that it's difficult. I'm Muslim, but I've always heard that it's difficult to convert to Judaism. That is kind of gate kept.
Unfortunately, that's not what Jewish law teaches. According to the Talmud, conversions are supposed to take a day, but it's essentially because of the state of Israel that they politicized the religion. And it's because of the law of return, because if the state of Israel in some way would allow anyone to convert, then they would have to accept them under the law of return. And this is why I don't identify as a Zionist, although I support the state of Israel.
Why do you support the state of Israel, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, because I share more values with the state of Israel than I do with Muslims.
Okay, but your relationship is with God. It has nothing to do with our state, right?
Yeah. I mean, same thing with yours. I mean, if you're arguing for Gaza over Israel, I mean, it's a political topic. It's not a religious one.
I'm not a citizen of Saudi Arabia. I don't support the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, do I?
No. Hold on. You're telling me that when you vote in an election in Saudi Arabia, you're only voting your values? No, like sometimes you pick a party that you agree with the most, right? Even though you don't agree fully.
That's
Why?
my political views. That's my
So supporting Israel is my political view. It's not my religious view.
Yeah.
What type of values are you speaking of?
Biblical values. Biblical values.
Yeah, no. You said you said you share more values with the state of Israel.
Yes, correct.
Than you do with Muslims, but then you say biblical values, and I don't really see much biblical value in the state of Israel.
So I'll tell you which one. The most powerful value that anyone can implore nowadays is tolerance. God expects Israel to be tolerant in exile. And every Jew living in the land of Israel is living in exile. Okay? Because it's under a secular country. Like it's not under a religious one. That means under the guise of tolerance, God told us like in the book of Jeremiah, that when he exiles us to Babylon and to all these places, that we should build houses, pray for the leaders, right, and try to live in peace. Do you know the state of Israel gives asylum to, GAY individuals of that whole region because their life is in danger. And I understand that against the Torah, it's against, this is prohibited. But the idea of tolerance, of allowing Muslims to sit in the Knesset, to sit in their Supreme Court, that's a level of tolerance that anyone could appreciate. I don't want Israel to be religious nowadays. Yeah.
Is there or is there not Jews in the Iranian parliament?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so do you view them? Do you share views with them as well?
Yeah. I mean, in certain aspects, for sure. However, there are no Jews in Gaza. If a Jew would walk into Gaza, he would be harmed. Yes, I agree that the beef.
If a Gazan lives in Gaza, he will be. If a Palestinian lives in Gaza, he will be hurt.
Also true. So you answered your own question. It seems like you appreciate the tolerance that Israel shows compared to the tolerance that Palestinians show.
Okay.
They're both screwed up, okay? I mean, secular Israeli society has problems. However, in life, the choice is typically between what's good and what's better. I'm pretty sure that the average resident of Gaza would love to live in Israel proper, would love to live in Jerusalem. I lived in Israel for 5 years. I know Muslims who live in Israel, and they hate going to Jenin. They hate visiting your relatives in Bethlehem. I mean, first of all, they're accused of being spies, right? They have the higher standard of living of any Arab of that region outside of Dubai. So, we have to call things what they are. Israel is not a religious country. I support Israel for secular reasons. However, my values do creep into secular life. What?
That's not true, though. Come on. What are you talking about?
What?
Are you saying that Arabs or Palestinians living in Jenin?
No, in Israel proper. I'm sorry, Israel proper. Like meaning Israel. I mean, Jenin is in Samaria. I mean, it's in the north. I mean, Israel proper.
Yeah, it's Palestine.
Well, whatever you want to call it. I don't care if people call it Palestine. I wish Israel would annex all that for safety reasons. I was a settler for 5 years, by the way.
Okay. What are we gonna do with the people living there then?
It's a problem. The Israeli.
You call them a problem and then
Yeah, no. I'm saying the situation is a very problematic one. The issue in the Middle East, it's one that's easy to explain, but one that's almost impossible to solve. I don't know.
What are we gonna do with people, Asher? The human beings. You were just talking about how beautiful it is.
No, I understand. It's a problem.
You were just talking about how beautiful it is to have vulnerable people.
So let's entertain some solutions.
Now you want to annex a country.
Wait, hold on. I mean, I lived in Israel for a while. I'm pretty familiar with.
I'm gonna correct myself. You want to annex a region?
Yes.
And then you want to call the people living in that region a problem?
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said the situation is very problematic. Because I said that the problem in the Middle East, it's easy to explain. It's almost impossible to solve. Now, let's go through some of the solutions that were put on the table. For example, creating a Palestinian state. Anyone who ever thought of creating a Palestinian state in the past, including myself, has changed their mind because now we know that the day we establish a completely independent Palestinian state, because Gaza is semi-independent, it's not fully independent, that's the day they unleash all their rockets on Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and there's no more Israel. I would want there to be a Palestinian state. What?
I could say the same thing, Asher.
Well, they haven't done it yet, by the way.
And I could say it with perfect accuracy because we actually seen it happen.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Solution. As soon as Israel became a state, they released all hell on the Palestinians.
All right. I mean, that's debatable. I mean, I would debate it. I mean, I would say the aggressors have always been the Palestinians, but it's fine. You acknowledge it's a problem that's not easy to fix. Okay. Now let's just talk about religion.
So if I'm getting beat over and over again, and I lose a leg, and I lose a hand, and I lose a shoulder,
right?
I'm somehow the aggressor?
No.
It's not a fair fight.
From that perspective, if you lived in Morocco or you lived in Germany and you were an Arab and you wanted to live in Israel proper, convert to Judaism, and Israel will give you citizenship.
No, I'm talking about the people living there. I'm talking about the Palestinians.
So there are Palestinians who also could convert to Judaism.
Why it's hard to convert to Judaism is because they don't want to give people.
Oh no, you could convert to Judaism. They could convert. I'm of the opinion that they should offer radical Muslims in that region an alternative to their radicalism, and that alternative is Judaism. That's it. That's how you flex on a
Alternative
people.
or ultimatum?
That's fine. That's how you flex on a people. And this is what typically Muslims respect. They respect power. That's fine. Muslims have done it to Jews many times. The Almohads forced them to convert to Islam. That's how you flex.
You actually.
This is problematic.
Why is the problem? I mean, this is the only way. This is a solution that would actually work, by the way. You know, that being said, there are many peaceful Muslims who live in the state of Israel. Peaceful Muslims who don't want to go to Jenin, who don't want to go to Gaza. So if we could in some way absorb them in, that'd be great also. But we know that they're too radicalized because of Islam. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think we should honestly give asylum to all the Druze.
Is it because of Islam, or is it because the slaughter of my family?
Oh, because of Islam.
If you slaughter my family, then...
Oh, well, I mean, I don't see Christians as radicalized as Muslims are in that region. Nor Druze.
Asher,
Yeah.
Asher, you actually saying that Muslims in that region should either convert to Judaism or they should just perish, right? That's what you're saying.
No. Or just put down their weapons.
Put down their weapons?
Yeah.
How do they get weapons if Israel controls everything that comes in and out of there?
Tunnels. Easy.
Yeah, but this is the point that I'm making, is that they have to find alternative. It's not the norm. The norm is what Israel has created.
There was a poll taken.
They give settlers.
There was a study done on how much money has been given to the Palestinian Authority, to Islamic Jihad, and to Hamas that they could have made Gaza into another Singapore. There's so much money pouring. I mean, Gaza, now it's destroyed fully. You know, but before it, it had malls and beaches.
Asher, do you really believe this? You seem like a smart person.
I've been
Do you
there.
believe this?
I mean,
Sincerely, you believe this?
I lived in Israel for 5 years. I mean,
You didn't live in Gaza. Come on.
Okay, like I've been around Gaza, right? I mean, I got there like during Gush Katif.
They don't control their sea. They don't control their airspace.
Because of their behavior. Because of Islam. But it's because of their behavior. All right, let's talk about religion, bro. I mean, we're not going to come to a conclusion. I'm blaming radical Islam, and I would behoove every Muslim, if they really want to live in Israel, to convert to Judaism. That's it.
And I'm blaming Zionists and genocide enablers.
I know. It's a
what's
problem.
going on in the region.
I think that land belongs to whoever's willing to fight for it and be victorious, whether it's the Palestinians or the Jews. I don't consider.
You believe that now, but did you believe that 75 years ago? Question. When it was given to
Nah, Shay, come on. I mean, you're gonna pick a fight with these guys. I mean, I'm trying to move to a religious topic.
Just one little question.
Yeah. Let's.
I wonder why is the Gazans, why are they not allowed to like have an airport and all that stuff, or a sea port as well? Why?
They're so righteous.
That's what Zionists ask Asher.
Because they're so righteous and they're so good.
There's no reason, yeah.
Obviously, there's a reason for everything. I'm not against violence, people. By the way, I'm not against violence.
I don't know. Should we blame the victims of why they're being victimized, or what are you saying?
Well, I mean, if someone is going to unalive their parents and then seek sympathy because they're an orphan, that's essentially what you're dealing with now. They start to fight and then they start crying when their people start being unalived. What are you going to do?
How do you start a fight when your land was given away?
Oh, so I don't believe that. I don't believe it was their land. I'm a soldier. I was in the U.S. military.
This land belongs to whoever wants to fight for it.
Correct.
The land belongs to whoever's the strongest, bro. That's what the land belongs to.
Yeah, that's the radical Muslims.
Hard to keep up with you.
Yeah, no.
You get out of here.
Yeah.
Did you fight for the land? Did you take the land? Or you didn't take the land? I don't understand.
What are you talking about? The land. Okay, hold on. All right,
Palestinians or the Ottomans?
we're going in circles. That land didn't belong to the Palestinians in 1948 or before. All right, it didn't belong to the Jews before 1948 either. It was under the British mandate. Before that, it was under the Ottomans. I believe that the state of Israel. Hold on. I believe the state of Israel, from a religious perspective, is illegitimate. However, from a secular perspective, I pick Israel over Gaza, just like I support India over Pakistan. I align with the one that aligns the most with my values. That's it. You know, good luck to the Palestinians and good luck to the Jews. Whoever wins keeps the land. That's it. We don't have to cry in front of CNN with cadavers.
But why didn't you talk like that during the Second World War?
I wasn't here during the Second World War. Like, I would not have endorsed.
Energy. Where was that energy?
Honestly, I wouldn't have endorsed.
Made the best man win.
I would not have endorsed the creation. Hold on, bro. I mean, I would not have endorsed.
Now you have
I'm telling you,
now you have support.
just let me tell you, I wouldn't have endorsed the establishment of a state of Israel. Now that we have a state of Israel, I'm not willing to give it back.
No, listen, you living in La La Land, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay, bro.
But just know the political spectrum might change, and not to your favor. It might change. I'm not saying it's gonna change. I said
fine.
it might change.
That's fine. If it changes, you know, I mean, kol hakavod to the winners.
People will remember those words.
Why don't people appreciate a good fight anymore?
Nobody believed in the European Jews, the Ashkenazis.
No, but I don't care about that.
Everybody saw them as second-class citizens.
I believe in them.
Nobody believed in them. They were
All
being
right.
genocide.
Oh my
No, they were being prosecuted all over Europe. England didn't want them. Scandinavia didn't want them. Russia damn sure didn't want them.
Okay, no, anyways. I don't want to make this whole thing about politics, but I'll tell you. I miss a good fight. Okay? A good traditional war where people do not resort to dishonorable forms of warfare.
Oh, like the Palestinians? That
means you get 50 ninjas on that side, 50 ninjas on this side, AKs, you know, Tavors, I guess I don't use M16s or Ghillies anymore, and they just bang it out in the street. I was in the infantry. I was a paratrooper. I was in the 82nd. All right? I appreciate a good fight. What I don't appreciate is people crying in front of TV cameras, oh, they're unaliving us. That's not real ninja crap. Okay? Let's deal with real masculine forms of warfare. This female way of fighting, I don't know where they got it. I mean, it's like Last of the Mohicans, people hiding under trees and crap. Okay? Old school. That's how they got it. That's it. Bang it out in the street. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. That's how you win a war. You don't cry. All right? I mean, the Vietnamese would... Imagine if the Vietnamese used this as a tool, crying. No, because they were real ninjas. They weren't crying. They died. Oh. The same people who are crying with corpses in their hands are the same people giving candy when their relatives are unalived in a different way. It's fake. Obviously, it's fake, and it's weak. I understand women are going to do it, but I hold Muslim men to a higher standard because I respect the masculinity of Muslim men. So I don't know what's up with the Palestinians. They're like giving all Muslims a bad name. All Muslims, I mean, you're telling me Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is a Muslim now. You're telling me like if he was in Gaza, like he'd be crying there with a cadaver in his hand? No, he'd be out there banging out on the street. Guys, let's do away with this pussy shit. That's exactly what it is. If you're a guy, fight like a guy. Okay.
I changed my diaper.
Also, you should put your picture up. You know, if you're gonna comment on Israel, I mean, put your actual picture up. You know, because this is also like hiding behind a cell phone.
Bro, for real, man. I mean, they're all like safe. They're all safe in the States. You know, crying about Palestine, and the moment.
Yeah, but the Jews are. Wait, hold on. I mean, our people are even wackier, by the way. You have these keyboard warriors here on TikTok who are scared to put their name, who are scared to put their picture up because, you know, they have their brothers who are dying in the front line and you're scared to support Israel by showing your face on it. I don't want to be doxxed. Where do you live, bro? I can't tell you. Like, you know what this simpy, oh my gosh. I don't know. See, women are there to keep men in check. Jewish women have to start looking down at their husbands and say, you know what? You disgust me. Say that your name is I don't know. I mean, give me a name. You know, I mean, Shlomo Lipschitz. Just put it there. Be a freaking man. It says this. There's a metric that says, in a place that lacks masculinity, be a man. That's it.
Okay, somebody just said that Israel can't survive without people's help, anyone's help.
Oh,
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, Palestine can't survive for sure without the UN and humanitarian airdrops. Okay. Right. Yes, it's true. Israel could not survive if it wasn't for the U.S. Okay.
Right. Which the Arab leaders steal from the Palestinians. So.
No, truth be told, if it was just Israel and Palestine, then Israel wouldn't need anyone's help. But it's always they're always invaded by 7 other nations, which is why. Anyways, I don't want to make this about Israel.
Well, I mean, it's true. You're true. You're right. I mean, they need help because there's like 7 other nations.
That being said. Let's employ the fairness doctrine, even though I'm a Republican. Truth be told, I would say that the average Palestinian in Israel is probably tougher than the average Israeli. That is a fact. That's a fact. remember once I kicked a Palestinian off the bus, like in Yerushalayim, because he was taunting some Jewish guy. Right? The average Palestinian Muslim in Jerusalem is probably twice as tough as the average Israeli. This is a fact. They all have like a scar in their face. Is that no? I mean, I wasn't born
because they're inbred, bro. Because they're inbred. Like,
no. It's not like that. I mean, they're a lot more masculine. You got to give it to them, bro. You got to give it to them.
Shreks. They producing Shreks out there like on the constant, bro. So
no. They're more masculine, and they're a lot tougher, and even one could say braver. I'm just telling you, than the average. Now, there's some great Israeli soldiers. I mean, like I was close to being a Magavnik, like in the Shtachim. I mean, I lived in Kov Shachar, and I did like duty in Kafar Tapuach and stuff with a rifle. But it's I wasn't in the idea.
Why? You know why they're tougher, right? Because they don't care about their lives, bro.
No, it's not. That's not true. The culture, Islamic culture, is more masculine than Jewish culture today.
Yeah, because they're ready to like just lose their life over like.
You got to give people the benefit of the doubt, bro. I mean, it's just like like not all nationalities are as good looking as other nationalities. Not all nationalities are as athletic as other nationalities. Some nationalities culturally are tougher than others. It's true. I'm going to give.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, again, like it all depends on who, who's like. That's why they're making so many because like they're ready to all just unalive themselves basically for their pedo. I'm sorry, for their
yeah.
Profit.
Don't do it. I mean, you don't have to insult the religion. I mean, you could insult like their misbehavior, but yeah, like I don't like people insulting our religion. So yeah.
I mean, they do it all the time, right?
Yeah, I know, but I don't like them. Yeah, not on this show. They don't do it. I mean, let's respect some religion.
I'll rise above them.
All right, next topic. Let's talk about.
Let's talk about something else.
Like AKs or ARs.
We should ask the pro Pallies here.
Do I? Oh no, pro Pallies is. I agree with Palestinians. I'll take an AK-47 over an M16 any day. 100%.
What about like being alive or a suicide vest? Which one's better?
I'm going to tell you something. The Jewish people invented martyrdom. It wasn't invented by the Muslims, by the way. The idea of dying for your God, who did it first? Well, I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu told God, unalive me before unaliving them. Samson collapsed the columns of the temple of the Philistines. He unalived himself to unalive everyone else. King Saul said that he fell on his sword to save the dignity of the Jewish people because he would have been tortured and all this stuff. This idea of giving your life up for a cause that you feel is bigger than you are is very admirable.
Right.
Okay. Now, the question is, what's the cause? Okay. I mean, I don't believe in the cause, but you can't say that there are animals and this, that. We invented that notion. Right. So it ultimately matters why you're doing it, but they're doing it like for the sake of their profit, which is admirable, right? Like I wish they'd do it. I wish they wouldn't do it at all for a trivial cause. I wish they would join our side and fight real evil.
Right, but see, the thing is that there are people in Israel that are just trying to exist in peace and live in peace, and they just keep getting missiles dropped on them, and have like unaliving themselves.
No, I get it. It's West versus East, and I have a Western mindset.
One's righteous, the other one's like straight up like.
Israel's a secular country too, but one is more righteous for sure, and I agree more with Israel.
Like super righteous, the other one is.
No, I get it. They're more tolerant. I support Israel. I don't have to drink the Kool-Aid and justify everything they do. But yes, I appreciate the tolerance Israel has. I'm an Israeli citizen. If it means anything. When I moved to Israel, I supported it from a religious perspective. Now I just support it from a secular perspective because it's not a religious country. But yes, I'm glad Israel is a little American enclave in that region. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. One is like super righteous.
Hey, listen, if I could pray for anything and it would come true, I would pray that the Palestinians would get their own state with a different mindset.
Why? Okay, yeah,
that's
fine.
With a different mindset. That means assuming God gave everybody there a lobotomy, that they just couldn't do bad, then for sure, let them surf like in Gaza and, do whatever they do. I don't know. What do you do in Gaza for fun? guess you can't drink, so it's like, oh, you probably could smoke though. But anyways, I mean, I've walked down the Arab Shuk and you smell the hashish in the air. But you know what? Maybe we should end this live.
Somebody says that like 70% of the Jews are secular. Like, what does that matter? The point here is that they're not trying to unalive people.
Yeah, no, it's not a religious war from a Jewish perspective. Okay, it's a.
I mean, for them it is though. For them
Yeah,
it is.
correct. For them it is. You know, so that means that they're too heavenly good to live on this planet, and I'd rather not live around people like that.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, over there, you know, you if you're not of their beliefs, you're gonna meet.
I think I make the best case for Israel. Every TikTok live should bring me up because these guys tarnish our reputation. You can't go up on an Israeli TikTok live without having some woman yelling at you, you know, over something silly and making fun of your problem.
Like the one earlier?
No, not here. I like the average TikTok live. If you let them talk and you let them, the average person who defends Israel will try to defend it from a biblical perspective and not make a distinction. Religious people typically make a distinction unless you're like a religious Zionist. You typically make a distinction between synagogue and state, but they don't make the distinction. I forgot.
You remember that lady earlier, that person earlier that was crying about like how the Muslims are friends of everybody, but then she forgets that Quran 551 says that no Jews or Christians.
No, that's fine. Yeah, but don't do that. It's fine. I mean, they'll quote the same thing on us, by the way.
Fact.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's a fact.
I know, but if you quote things on them, they're going to quote the Talmud on us.
Who cares? The Talmud isn't, like, to me at least.
We should be able to be decent without even quoting the Bible or the Quran. You know, and the only people who've been able to balance this is Israel. Israel doesn't quote the Bible.
Then they win at that point. They win.
Why
because they'll keep lying and making things up like they've been doing for like the past forever.
Yeah, and then we respond to it. That's it.
But how? You wait for that'll cause a war because you can't call them out.
But we're not going to lie. Okay, but we shouldn't do what they do.
You're not lying though.
You're exaggerating a little bit. Yeah, in some way.
551. Have you read it?
I understand, but they're going to point to Talmudic passages. It's going to be back and forth. Let's just put religion aside. When it comes to politics, when it comes to Israeli politics, we have to put religion aside. It's a secular country, and the Palestinians are essentially secular, even though they may use the Quran to enable a lot of religious Muslims to die for that cause. It's essentially a secular conflict.
They're doing it in the comments right now. They're saying the Talmud is demonic.
No, I know, right? Because they heard you say something about the Quran. Let's just discuss logic.
Yeah, I don't hear that. Why do they say that, even though or if it's not true?
Because they're cousins. They're like their moms are cousins. That's why.
Come on, bro. You see? No, okay. I mean, you're gonna get me blocked, bro. You're gonna get me blocked.
Why it's evil, but like misconceptions they have or things.
Guys, we have to put religion aside when we're discussing Israeli-Palestinian politics. This religion aside, I support Israel not because it's a religious state, because it's not. Because ethically, my value aligns more with Israel. That's it. And I'm pretty sure the average Muslim agrees. The average Muslim would rather walk down a street in Jerusalem than walk down a street in Gaza. Why? Because in Gaza, they're going to ask you if you're Sunni or not. The Palestinians actually dislike Shiites more than they dislike Jewish people. While it doesn't matter if you're Sunni, it doesn't matter if you're a Druze, it doesn't matter if you're Puerto Rican. If you're walking down the streets of Jerusalem, no one's going to care. No one's going to care.
So you like nationalism, right?
I'm not against it. I
used to be, but now I'm thinking.
I don't believe in open borders, first of all. And I think that you can't thin out a society by allowing other people who are unvetted to just come in and reinvent your society. I think what we started off with in America was a great thing. We've lost it because of all these outsiders coming in with their different ideas. It's like I'm in Florida. So many New Yorkers leave New York because of left-wing politics just to vote for the left in Florida. They come to Florida because of the results of Republican policies, right? And they left New York because of the left just to vote for the left again in Florida, to make Florida into another New York just so they can move somewhere else. This is what I'm against.
They always like to say it's the New South.
Yeah, it's a problem. Coño. How's it going? You're in Chicago. You're in Illinois.
Yeah, I've lived in North Carolina for a while too.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'll try to be less
I
like
like
them.
North Carolina more than Florida.
I lived in North Carolina. I was stationed in Fort Bragg, and it was
That where I've seen you.
very boring. Fayetteville.
Well, yeah, Fayetteville is like the worst. It's like the best state, but like the worst, most boring of army bases.
Yeah, what do they call it? Vietnam, they call it. Anyway, so where do you live, Sheikh? Oh, you're in California, right? Oh, no comment. Okay. All right, guys, it's time to man up, Israel. I want a shout out in the freaking comments of where everyone's from, right? Cuba, Haiti, right? I mean, shoot it up. Guys, let's stop running away from who we are.
This is what they want to get on. I used to get so jealous when that song came on at the club.
It's so funny to hear a white girl sing
like
it.
My friends, they'd get out there, and I was like, it was like my favorite song.
That's
too.
it. Hey, look at you. I mean, you have your picture up here, right?
Yo, I have my picture up here too. Look at that. That's what I look like.
Yeah, some white guy, a white spot.
Yeah, I'm that white. Colonizer.
Yeah.
Yo, but like, I mean,
like the whitest people were actually the savages.
All right. Let's not go into that stuff.
No, but that is funny. If anything, I should be offended. I'm white.
Well, do you consider Greeks and Romans white?
Yeah.
Well, they weren't the
I mean,
savages.
if we didn't, yeah, they weren't. Like it's totally different now. Like it's, you can't
Wait,
even
can you
answer.
hear me? I can't even mute myself. That's weird.
Yeah, it's just, you can't even answer that.
Ooh.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's weird. I can't mute myself for some reason.
Well, that's Jesus. I mean,
Must
Jesus
be a
just
law.
came here and
Must
blew
be
your
a law,
mind.
bro.
That's it.
Yeah, no, not at all. Actually, especially back then.
So check your zipper because it's open.
Is also interpretation. Nope.
The what? All right. Anyways, on that note, let's go ahead and just step out before we get to shut down.
Wait,
Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, it's interesting. This is the only live I think Muslims feel comfortable to dialogue because we're going to let them talk. Okay, and I'm going to welcome them to Judaism. If you're a Muslim out there, consider becoming Jewish. I've considered becoming Muslim. It's just it's not for me.
They're not going to
He's
be
the only one that will be hard on his own side without kissing the other side's butt. And nobody is hard on their own side. And if they do, they're doing it to appease people or for likes. And they didn't do it from day one. So even if I don't always agree with you, which usually I do.
You always agree with me. Come on.
Yeah, I think you made me start thinking. Like,
I mean, what's there to disagree with? I mean, I'm so.
I
All right, I'm kidding. I mean, there may be some things I'm wrong about, but I am insightful and I have thought about all my positions, by the way. I mean, they're thought out. I mean, they're not knee-jerk reactions.
You taught me everything I know on the subject, Asher.
What? What'd you say?
You taught me everything I know on the subject. I didn't even know anything about any of this before TikTok. Now it's all over.
What, Judaism is?
Just like the whole everything.
Oh, everything. All right. What's up? I am influential.
People be talking shit about you, though, Asher. I tried to defend you.
I'll tell you, a lot of these people who bash me, like, actually were my students once. There's many people who the only reason they started studying the Rambam, the only reason they became religious is because of my show, just to, I mean, like, follow this guy, Rabbi Litvin, who hates my guts because I'm a Republican. And he tells them now that they're not allowed to learn from me. What kind of individual, what man allows another man to tell them who they can or cannot learn from? Isn't that the simplest thing in the world?
That's why you gotta like scrutinize these converts.
The what?
Do that.
What?
A lot of boys at my elementary school do that at recess.
No, they do it with females. Though. Oh, well, yeah. No, with beta guys. No, for sure, the guys are out there, but they're a bunch of simps.
Yeah, but that's little boy stuff.
That's what I would never tell you don't learn from someone. You may learn what not to do, by the way, right? But who am I to play gatekeeper? You could only learn Torah from this, from that. Anyways, anyone who has an issue with me is free to dialogue with me. This is all recorded, whatever.
It is funny that they do that, but not if you're the one they're doing it to. So, not that it's funny, but it's funny that they even do that.
Yeah.
Just laugh.
Anyways, guys, follow me, follow K2.
Follow Poppy right here.
Ooh, Poppy. Poppy, I'm on the 5th floor. I'm not on the 2nd floor. I'll give you $5. That's all I got. All right, anyways. That's all right, bro. I gotta go. Be well. Take it easy.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Wait. Okay. I mean, I came back. I was out, and you dragged me back in. Real guys don't use that COVID-19 stay safe crap. Okay.
I mean, like, stay away from like pro-pallies.
Stay brave. Stay brave. That's
Stay
it.
gangster, bro.
Yeah, stay gangster. That's what's up.